Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Chapter 1. Special Grade Cursed Object. Sucina's Finger. Golden rays of the setting sun bathed the earth. Towering skyscrapers stood in neat rows as crowds flowed through the streets. The world seemed eerily quiet and peaceful. Holding the girl's delicate hand, Gi reflected inwardly. He was, in fact, a transmigrator, Gitsukaza. For 17 years, he had inhabited this world, a fusion of slice-of-life anime. Now a second-year student at Sobya High School, he lived alone in Chiba City. The girl beside him had cherry red hair cascading down her back, her right eye hidden behind her bangs. Headphones hung around her neck, and she exuded an introverted, melancholic aura. Most eye-catching were her smooth, silky black stockings, perfectly accentuating her leg lines, almost tantalizing. Miku Nakano. The third of the Nakano quintuplets. With a refined and classic personality, she harbored a particular fascination for Sengoku-era warlords. Though her grades were unremarkable, she too was a second-year student at Sobya High School. Currently dating Gi, their shopping excursions together were a rarity. He glanced at Miku, a blush blooming on her face. In personality and other aspects, she seemed nearly flawless. His foreknowledge of her interests had smoothed the path of their relationship. Their date had stretched across the day. As the sun dipped lower, the time to part ways drew near. However, on their first date, neither seemed eager to go home. As they strolled hand in hand, they stumbled upon a newly opened shop. Gi felt a gentle tug and turned to see Miku gazing intently at the storefront. "Let's take a look," she said, her soft voice melting his heart. Momentarily stunned, he nodded in agreement. He examined the shop more closely. Exorcism shop? Gi's eyes held a hint of confusion. Though he was certain he'd never seen this shop before, it felt oddly familiar. The word exorcism seemed to touch a nerve. It's a small shop selling talismans and exorcism tools. They say hanging a talisman at home can dispel curses and suppress evil spirits. Sometimes they have beautiful Sengoku-era replicas. I once bought a Sengoku-style folding screen from an exorcism shop. Miku's eyes lit up, clearly revealing her true interest. Gi was both amused and exasperated. He'd never seen someone so passionate about such things. Her gaze flitted over his face before quickly looking away. In truth, she wasn't after the folding screen this time, but a beautiful talisman to hang at home. She wondered if giving it to Gi might serve as a token of their relationship. Taking a deep breath to quell her excitement, Miku led him into the store. The interior decor lived up to the name exorcism. Dark and eerie, it featured a wrinkled old lady at the counter, dressed in strange, witch-like attire. As the young couple entered, the old lady smiled eerily and said, "Are you two looking to buy exorcism tools to dispel curses?" "No, we're just browsing," Miku replied hastily, waving her hands. Being introverted, her heart was already racing as she spoke, and the gloomy decor intensified her unease. Gi squeezed her small hand, helping to calm her nerves. Who would decorate a shop so creepily? He wondered. The old lady's sudden raspy voice had made even his heart skip a beat. Observing their reactions, the old woman simply sat at the counter, muttering incantations. Miku made her way towards the talismans. The narrow shop brimmed with strange objects. Gi pressed close to her delicate form, her elegant scent enveloping him. The soft, smooth texture of her black stockings against her thighs quickened his pulse, and her small hands gripped his tighter, as if sensing his reaction. Emboldened, he wrapped an arm around her slender waist, his fingertips grazing the surface of her stockings. Miku's face flushed crimson at his touch. "Ahem, customers, please refrain from such behavior in my shop," the old lady suddenly interjected, shattering the intimate atmosphere. Miku, naturally introverted and now thoroughly embarrassed, raised her little fists to punch Gi, albeit with pitiful force. "Humphrey, if you do that again, I'll. She meant to threaten ignoring him, but the words caught in her throat. Finally, Miku broke free from his grasp and walked towards the beautiful talismans. Gi's eyes wandered around the shop, settling on a wooden box in the corner. Intrigued, he crouched down and picked up the dust-covered object. Miku, holding two talismans, approached him. "Gi-kun, does this interest you?" It was unusual to see him so captivated by an item. "Not exactly," Gi replied, wiping dust off the box. "It's just. This box seems oddly familiar, though I can't quite place where I've seen it before." He examined it closely. As he inspected the box, his finger inadvertently triggered a switch. The upper half sprang open, revealing an object roughly the size of a finger. It was wrapped in ancient cloth strips adorned with indecipherable patterns. "Oh my, it looks ancient," Miku remarked, tilting her head. The wooden box reminded her of an antique, even older than the Sengoku-era pieces she'd encountered. However, the cloth-wrapped shape inside unsettled her. It bore an eerie resemblance to a section of a human finger bone. A chill ran down her spine, and she instinctively moved closer to Gi. Meanwhile, Gi stood thunderstruck, his mind reeling. He never imagined encountering such an object in this seemingly ordinary world. Was this mere coincidence? Or was this world more than just a fusion of slice-of-life anime? Indeed, sealed within the wooden box was what the Jujutsu world termed a special-grade cursed object. It was a finger of Sukuna, the 1,000-year-old king of curses. A single finger contained cursed energy rivaling that of a special-grade cursed spirit. Suddenly, a cold, mechanical voice echoed in his mind. Absorbing special energy source, Great Collector System activated, special-grade cursed object, Sukuna's finger, detected. Does the host wish to collect it? Chapter 2, Innate Domain, Malevolent Shrine. The Great Collector System. Collecting valuable items earns system rewards. The more valuable the collected item, the more generous the reward. After assessment, Sukuna's finger was deemed to have collection value, confirming this special-grade cursed object's authenticity. This revelation suggests that the everyday world Gi thought he knew isn't as safe as it seems. Beneath the surface of daily life lies the hidden realm of Jujutsu. He may have encountered cursed spirits before without realizing it. No. Gi rejected the system's proposal and carefully resealed the wooden box. Despite being a special-grade cursed object, its curse-suppressing ability is genuine. Sealed cursed objects from the Jujutsu world can effectively ward off cursed spirits in various areas. However, this protection only works if the seal on the cursed object remains intact. If the seal breaks, the cursed object becomes prime nourishment for cursed spirits. Even weak evil spirits could quickly reach their peak strength after consuming such an object. "What did you buy? Is it a charm?" Gi stood up, noticing the charm pinched between Miku's fingers. "Yes, one for each of us." She tugged him toward the counter to pay. The eerily dressed old lady examined the 3 items and casually said, "Everything in the shop is 500 yen, so 3 items would be 1,500 yen. Evidently, she didn't recognize the true cursed object. As soon as she finished speaking, Miku placed the money on the counter. She then pulled Gi out of the shop, giving him one of the charms. He accepted it, suddenly realizing he was being cared for. "One for each of us, and don't you dare lose it, ever," Miku said seriously, tying the charm around his waist. Only then did she contentedly pull him towards home. Gi put the wooden box in his pocket and strolled with Miku in the twilight. It wasn't until they reached the apartment entrance that they reluctantly let go of each other's hands. "Do you want to come in for a bit? It seems they're all out today." The they Miku mentioned clearly referred to her 4 quintuplet sisters. "Let's do it next time. I'll invite you to my place," Gi said, bidding farewell instead of going in. After all, those 4 had been following them all day, they deserved some rest too. "All right then," Miku replied, her mood slightly dampened. Just as Gi was about to offer some words of comfort, a fragrant breeze enveloped him, and he suddenly felt a soft sensation on his lips. Before he could fully process it, Miku had already turned and entered the apartment. Standing behind the glass door, she waved her arms vigorously at him. Seeing Gi's dumbfounded expression, she revealed a faint smile. Meanwhile, at a corner not far away, 4 little heads were frantically shouting. "Miku is so bold. She actually kissed him. It's so shameless. How could she do such a thing in public? It's disgraceful to our family." As expected of Miku. He, looks like I'll soon have a brother-in-law. It wasn't in vain that we followed them all day, we finally got some results. "Oh no, Miku won't get pregnant, will she?" "Don't be ridiculous, Yotsuba. How could someone get pregnant from just a kiss? At least. Oh my. This is troublesome." Nino Nakano's fingers intertwined, a crimson blush creeping up her snow-white neck. Although she occasionally overheard such topics in her small group at Sobu High, witnessing it firsthand was still too stimulating. Itsuki Nakano's ouch quivered, her dignified expression barely concealing her shyness. Yotsuba Nakano smiled foolishly, still puzzled by Nino's words. Akiko Nakano's reaction was the most exaggerated, but her eyes narrowed slightly. The four disguised individuals had been watching the lovely couple all day. Of course, he had noticed their clumsy disguises when he met with Miku. Watching him leave the apartment entrance, the quadruplets hurried home. Upon opening the door, they saw Miku sitting on the sofa, sipping green tea. Her fingertips subtly touched her lips, her head buried in her cherry-red hair. "Sorry, we were held up by something, leaving Miku alone at home." It's fine." Miku's mind was filled with memories of what had just happened. Miku, distracted, failed to notice Akiko's tone and expression. A mischievous smile crept across Akiko's face. "Ahem, Nino, brew 2 cups of black tea," she said. "Huh?" Nino replied, still dazed. Catching Akiko's wicked grin, she complied and went to prepare the tea. "Hey, why only 2 cups? I want 1 too." Yotsuba protested, raising her hand. Itsuki quickly pulled her aside. Nino swiftly returned with 2 cups of black tea for Akiko. "Here, 1 cup each. Drink it all, no matter what," Akiko said sweetly to Nino. Miku's teacup trembled, her fingers tightening on the handle. Her stockinged feet curled as she clutched the cup with both hands, face flushed. She didn't dare look up, using her headphones to hide her burning cheeks. Nino glanced at the silent Miku, her eyes glinting mischievously. "Darling, you're so good. Here's a kiss." Poof. Miku sprayed green tea everywhere. Itsuki's shoulders shook as she tried to contain her laughter. Even Yotsuba, usually slow on the uptake, realized what was happening and looked away shyly. "You. How could you all?" Miku stammered, her face scarlet, toes curling in embarrassment. "Ha ha 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 ha." Itsuki finally lost control, bursting into laughter. Furious, Miku snatched up a cushion and chased after Akiko and Nino. The apartment erupted into chaos. Meanwhile, Gi placed the wooden box into his collection space. Detected host collecting special grade cursed object, Sukina's finger, reward, innate domain, malevolent shrine. A scorching flow emerged from the depths of his soul, permeating his entire body. The surging cursed energy of the special grade cursed object in the collection space linked with him. Is this the technique of the strongest king of curses? The innate domain includes the innate technique shrine and the 2 basic techniques, dismantle and cleave. There's also another one called divine flame, powerful, but quite limited. Gi picked up a stone from the roadside and slightly raised his fingertip. Innate technique, dismantle, the stone instantly split in 2, cleaved by an invisible slash. The cross-section was terrifyingly smooth. Chapter 3, The Broken Kitchen Knife. The renowned Jujutsu sorcerer master, Satoru Gojo, once declared, nearly 80% of a Jujutsu sorcerer's strength is determined by their innate technique. An innate technique is a power one is born with. Unlike ordinary techniques, it cannot be acquired later in life. This inborn talent can only be passed down through bloodlines. However, even blood descendants may not necessarily awaken the innate technique of the previous generation. Among all Jujutsu sorcerers, only Kenjaku can use others' techniques, and that's due to his brain transplant technique. Yet Gi obtained a innate domain simply by collecting Sukina's finger, along with his innate cursed technique shrine, thus gaining the 2 fundamental innate techniques for constructing the domain, dismantle and cleave. He had essentially won the lottery. 17 years, a full 17 years. If you had come any later, you might have been attending a funeral instead. Gi never imagined that the everyday world he had lived in for so long, which seemed peaceful on the surface, could actually be so turbulent underneath. I used to think news about frequent gas explosions was far-fetched, but now it seems they were just covering up disasters caused by cursed spirits. I wonder if it's only the cursed spirit world that's merged, or if various worlds have partially combined. After all, there's an unusually high number of these news stories. Scrolling through his phone, Gi encountered an endless stream of bizarre news. He had never investigated it seriously before, but now he realized there was no end to it. The information bubble had severely affected his perception of the world. There was nothing he could do about it now. His previous life had been so stable that he hadn't given it much thought. Well, I hardly ever left the house, so it's no wonder I didn't encounter anything strange. Gi mused, putting away his phone with a wry smile. As the last rays of sunset faded and night enveloped the sky, he felt the surging special-grade cursed energy nourishing his body, causing changes in his flesh and cells. Suddenly, he sensed the presence of unknown life forms in the air. Cursed spirits? No, cursed spirits can interfere with the real world. The unknown life I sense is more ethereal. Could it be evil spirits? Gi's thoughts drifted to his classmate Maiko Yotsuya from Class 2C. He had known, or rather, guessed, about the existence of evil spirits when he met Maiko at this year's opening ceremony. But without the spiritual sight to see evil spirits, they naturally couldn't harm him. At the time, Gi had been focused on strengthening his relationship with Miku, so he hadn't paid much attention to the matter of evil spirits. Looking back now, he realized he should have guessed then that this world wasn't so simple. Cursed spirits, evil spirits. Who knows what else exists out there? The comfort of the gentle breeze made him narrow his eyes. In the past, he might have panicked, but now he felt oddly indifferent. Sukino's fingers. Yujiya Tadori School should have won too. What was that school called again? I can't remember. He scratched his head, realizing he had never paid attention to these things before. Never mind. I'll grab something to eat and head home. After that, I'll gather information and collect more valuable items. Having made up his mind, Gi began exploring the unfamiliar area. This part of town was far from his residential district, and he was visiting for the first time. After turning a few corners, he stumbled upon a shopping street. Compared to the one he used to stroll with Miku, this street had fewer people and a more limited variety of snacks. Here and there, he spotted land developers negotiating with shop owners about selling conditions. As his gaze swept down the street, one particularly bustling restaurant caught his eye. Restaurant Yukihira? Huh? Yukihira? Gi's expression froze in surprise. An old man walking behind him noticed Gi staring at the signboard. Haha, don't let the sign fool you. Let me tell you, the food at this restaurant is the best on the entire shopping street. Even some fancy hotels can't match the deliciousness of their cuisine. If it weren't for the out-of-the-way location, this place would be even more packed. Gi snapped back to reality and followed the old man into the restaurant. At the kitchen stove stood a red-haired young man with a scar on his left eyebrow, expertly tossing ingredients in a wok. The explosive aroma of his cooking permeated the entire restaurant. Behind the red-haired youth was a man with a burly build and strong arms. His expression seemed gentle, yet there was a hidden sharpness to it. Boss, the usual for me. And I brought a new customer, don't let me down, alright? The old man announced cheerfully as he entered. No problem, I'll make sure to satisfy the customer. The menu's right here, feel free to order anything you like. Joichiro Yukihira glanced over quickly, then turned back with a hearty laugh. Soma Yukihira eyed Gi confidently. When it came to culinary skills, he'd yet to meet anyone his age who could match him. This self-assurance came naturally to him. I'll have a bowl of egg fried rice and a plate of grilled squid, Gi said, glancing at the menu. Coming right up. Soma finished the order he was working on and immediately started on the egg fried rice. Though Gi knew little about cooking, the sight before him was captivating. He watched as Soma skillfully cracked eggs, their golden yolks cascading over plump rice grains, dancing in the flames. Soma then grabbed his kitchen knife and began finely chopping ingredients. His knife work was precise and powerful, the blade's rhythm against the chopping board creating a beautiful melody. Clang. Suddenly, the kitchen knife's handle broke. The rhythmic chopping ceased abruptly. Ah, damn. Soma muttered, momentarily stunned. He turned to his father and said, Old man, my knife broke. You've been using it since you were little. It's done well to last this long, Joichiro replied. Pay attention, you brat. Are you trying to ruin my reputation? He swiftly took over, finishing the egg fried rice. Soma scratched his head helplessly, at a loss for what to do next. Why don't you give it to me? The sudden voice startled him. Looking up, he realized Gi was standing beside him, though he hadn't noticed his approach. Chapter 4, World Gourmet Organization 2-Star Culinary Skills. Ah, you mean this broken kitchen knife? Soma pointed at the knife with a confused expression, his tone uncertain. Could it be? Are you also a chef? Having suffered from a lack of peers to compete with for years and consistently losing to Joichiro, his attention was immediately piqued. His eyes nearly sparkled as he looked at Gi, eager for an exhilarating competition to wash away years of humiliation. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. I haven't studied culinary arts. Due to losing both parents, Gi often cooked for himself. However, his skills were only average, far from comparable to this future master chef. His interest in the knife stemmed purely from Joichiro's words. This knife, used by Soma since childhood, carried memories and held significant meaning. It probably had some collectible value too. I see. Well, if you want it, you can have it. But we have perfectly good utensils here. Are you sure you want this broken knife? Soma couldn't fathom his true intentions. Joichiro carefully examined Gi, noting no outward signs of culinary training, and concluded he might genuinely lack cooking skills. It's fine. I mainly like to collect things, Gi said, taking the broken knife and pocketing it. Collecting? What collectible value does this have? To put it bluntly, it was just a broken knife with no practical use. If it had belonged to a renowned chef, it might have held some collectible value. However, this was merely the knife of an unknown novice like him. Far from being a collectible, it seemed more like something that would take up space even if given away for free. Who knows? You might become famous in the future. I've never met such an impressive young chef before, Dki said, offering casual praise. Soma scratched his neck and laughed, sensing something was amiss. Joichiro sighed and reminded him, the customer hasn't even started eating yet. The realization hit Soma like a bolt from the blue. How could Dki know his cooking skills were good without tasting the food? Please wait a moment, customer. There's also an iron plate squid dish coming right up. As Joichiro prepared the iron plate squid, Soma busied himself as well. Dki returned to the table with his fried rice, his mind wandering. You have collected a broken knife that carries memories of over a decade of hard practice. Reward, World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills, as expected. This knife held considerable value. Although Dki didn't know the specific criteria for evaluating collectibles, items without value or recognition couldn't be stored in the collection space. World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills, about the same level as Kojiro Shinomiya. World Gourmet Organization, short for World Gourmet Organization, rates restaurants worldwide using a 3-star system. They publish their annual evaluations in book form, the canon, making it a culinary organization revered by all chefs. Even Kojiro Shinomiya, who served as the first seat of the 79th Totsuki Elite 10 and received the Plus Pal medal, was only at a 2-star level. Dki took a spoonful of the fried rice. The plump grains released an irresistible aroma when chewed, seemingly perfect. But when he integrated the World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills and tasted the fried rice again, he realized that while the flavor was still good, it was far from perfect. Dki-senpai. May I sit here? As he was tasting the food, a pretty, cute young girl suddenly appeared beside him. Scanning the crowded restaurant, he noticed very few seats remained. The only option was to share a table with strangers. Sure, sit wherever you like. You know me? The newcomer was a first-year junior, Iroha Ishiki. Dki recognized her, but was surprised she knew him. I'm Iroha Ishiki, a first-year student. I've seen you with Miku-senpai in the library before. Iroha's stomach growled as she spoke, her youthful charm undiminished. I see. Dki mused, realizing he hadn't noticed her before. Likely because his attention had been entirely focused on Miku's stockings at the time. Oh my, fried rice? It smells delicious. I was planning to walk back slowly to lose weight, but I couldn't resist this aroma. Iroha giggled and ordered a portion of fried rice. Soon after, the iron plate squid and fried rice arrived at their table. Well? Is my fried rice good? If it weren't for my old man interfering, it would taste even better. Soma said proudly, hands on his hips. It's amazing. I've never had such excellent fried rice before. Dki praised sincerely. He then noticed a small portion of fried rice on the plate with the iron plate squid. What's this? Oh, it's the fried rice I made myself to make up for the earlier mistake. After all, Joichiro had cooked Dki's fried rice later. Quick, try it. Which is better, mine or my old man's? Soma stared intently, awaiting his verdict. Dki chewed thoughtfully before concluding, your father's fried rice tastes better. Soma. Haha, Soma, looks like you've still got room for improvement. Joichiro chuckled as he served other tables. Soma furrowed his brow, perplexed. How? The process was exactly the same. Why would the taste be different? Iroha eyed Dki's fried rice longingly but, restrained by her maidenly reserve, decided against asking for a taste. Any suggestions? Where's the difference exactly? He asked Dki hopefully. Joichiro caught the customer's eye and shrugged helplessly. Tasting the difference was easy, but pinpointing specifics proved challenging. It might be the intensity and timing of the stir-frying. Dki explained, your father took about 15 seconds, perfectly balancing stir-frying intensity and heat control. You took 25. Your foundation is solid, but your technique isn't as refined. Keep practicing. Soma's eyes widened at his eloquent explanation. Even Joichiro turned to reassess the young man. Was this innate talent? Or had he misjudged him earlier? Chapter 5, I'm not a chef, I'm just naturally strong. Isn't his a bit too mystical? It's just a bowl of egg fried rice, yet the cooking process needs to be precise down to the second. The adorable Iroha blinked her beautiful eyes, muttering as she gazed at the visually appealing, fragrant, and delicious egg fried rice before her. She had never visited this secluded commercial street before. Rumor had it that local real estate developers were acquiring the area. Some shops had already reached agreements with the developers and left. The usual browsers here were typically regular customers and nearby residents. Iroha had come here planning to go shopping with a female classmate. She'd intended to walk slowly to the train station to maintain her figure, but halfway there, A delicious aroma caught her attention. Unable to resist, she walked in and unexpectedly discovered her senior, Gi. With no extra seats nearby, rather than sharing a table with strangers, she decided to join her second-year senior, feeling more at ease. However, the conversation between Gi and Soma made her feel as if she were listening to a tall tale. Who would use such a complicated process for making egg fried rice? Could timing to the second really make a qualitative difference in the dish's taste? Isn't cooking just throwing ingredients into a pan and adding seasonings? Ayaroa's head was spinning. She scooped up a spoonful of egg fried rice and put it in her mouth. The moment her teeth touched the rice grains, she froze. The soft egg liquid evenly coated the springy rice grains, while the fragrance of green onions was like a stroke of genius, accentuating the rice's aroma. It was unlike any egg fried rice she had eaten before. Do you really not understand culinary arts? Soma asked, staring blankly at Gi. It was hard to imagine that someone who hadn't studied culinary arts could have such a keen sense of taste. He could even deduce the chef's basic skills just by tasting the dish. What was your name again? Soma suddenly pointed at him, thinking hard before speaking. Gi Tsukasa. Right, Gi, let's have a competition. We'll compete with egg fried rice. Soma's eyes blazed with excitement. Ayaroa subtly shifted away. She couldn't help but wonder if this red-haired chef was entirely sane. But wait, could Gi-senpai actually be a skilled cook? From her first taste of the egg fried rice, she had recognized the restaurant's culinary prowess. It was nothing short of perfection. For Gi-senpai to spot flaws in such a delicious dish, if anyone claimed he didn't understand culinary arts, she'd be the first to object. Gi, don't hesitate. Consider it payment for that knife. At the mention of the broken knife, Gi knew there was no backing out. Though to Soma, that knife was nearly worthless, he had still taken it. Alright, the broken knife will be the stake. Huh? Forget the knife, keep it if you want. Just compete with me, and give it your all. Don't hold back. Finally encountering a chef his own age, Soma could barely contain his excitement. He swiftly made room for Gi and graciously provided cooking utensils. Joichiro crossed his arms, observing the impending competition with keen interest. Soma, are you competing with your old man again? Aren't you just going to lose like usual? No, didn't you see? Soma's competing with another young man. Young man, give it your all. Soma's culinary skills are extraordinary, you'll need to work hard to beat him. The customers at restaurant Yukihira cheered for Gi. It wasn't because they disliked Soma, but because they knew his abilities. Although he had never beaten Joichiro, the young boy's culinary skills had already won over these regular patrons. Senpai, do your best. As a student of Sobya High, Ayaroa naturally cheered for her senior. Oh my, young man, don't lose. Your little girlfriend is watching. Hearing this, Ayaroa quickly stood up, flustered. She waved her hands frantically, saying, No, I'm just Gi-senpai's junior classmate. Gi, my boy, that won't do. To capture a girl's heart, you must first capture her stomach. This is your moment. However, her explanation not only failed to calm the excitement but made things even more heated. Though she knew the customers were just teasing, she couldn't bear to hear such things. She quickly lowered her head with a whimper, no longer trying to explain. Seeing this, the customers stopped joking and turned their attention to the kitchen stove. Ayaroa, noticing the situation ease, also looked towards the kitchen. I'll definitely win. Soma shouted boldly, turning to look at Gi beside him. But his words died on his lips as he witnessed his terrifying knife skills. In mere moments, Gi had reduced all the ingredients on the chopping board to perfectly sized pieces. His cold demeanor as he wielded the knife was reminiscent of a seasoned butcher, honed by years of practice. Even Joichiro, once known as the Aja, couldn't help but furrow his brows, his heart racing. How could one describe that posture, that aura, as Gi held the knife? It was as if he could dissect anything on that chopping board, be it vegetable or creature, without so much as blinking. Gi, didn't you say you don't know culinary arts? How are your knife skills so incredible? Soma, momentarily stunned, suddenly felt he'd been deceived. Yet his eyes sparkled with undeniable excitement. It's just natural strength. I'm strong, so I'm fast. Isn't that normal? Gi replied with a straight face, his words clearly nonsensical. Joichiro and the onlooking customers couldn't help but twitch their mouths at this response. Oh yeah? Then what about your skilled pan tossing? Soma's eyes widened as he pointed at his stance. They watched as Gi effortlessly maneuvered the iron wok with one hand. The scarlet flames danced like fire spirits summoned by a master magician, bending to his will. Great strength produces miracles. The restaurant fell silent. Whether it could truly produce miracles remained to be seen, but Gi's strength was undeniable. As he tossed the wok, A richer aroma of egg fried rice began to permeate the air. Wow, this smell! It's even more enticing than the previous egg fried rice. No way, is Soma actually going to lose? He's lost to his old man hundreds of times, and now he might lose to this guy who claims he doesn't understand culinary arts? That's rough. Hold on, you call this not understanding culinary arts? Is it really possible to do all this just because you're strong? Chapter 6, Defeating Soma, stunning the crowd. Damn it. He claimed he didn't know cooking, but this is mastery. His skills even surpassed Dad's. A mouth-watering aroma flooded their nostrils like a surging stream. Even those without culinary expertise could perceive the obvious difference. Soma's eyes were serious, a heavy pressure weighing on his mind. Despite knowing he had lost, he chose to give his all. All customers at restaurant Yukihira waited in eager anticipation. The aroma of Ki's fried rice dominated the scene. A rich egg fragrance intertwined with the deep scent of oil. The golden rice, paired with vibrant side ingredients, resembled a treasure. It looked like an exquisitely carved golden mountain resting on a snowy field. To think World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills could be this extraordinary. The harmony of color, aroma, and taste is nearly perfect. Even a simple bowl of fried rice seems priceless. He gained a clearer understanding of this world's culinary arts. He placed the plate on the counter, concluding this round of cooking. This cooking level is unbelievable. The lingering aroma made Iroha swallow repeatedly. Every cell in her body seemed to cry out in hunger. Joichiro smiled helplessly. The answer was already clear. Let's have a customer act as the judge, he suggested. Even knowing the outcome, he didn't announce it directly. Instead, he followed the old custom of letting a restaurant's customer be the judge, their traditional way of determining a winner. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire Yukihira restaurant erupted with excitement. The aroma alone was irresistible, tasting it would surely be mind-blowing. Me. Let me do it. Out of my way. I've been a loyal customer for 10 years, I should go first. 10 years? That's nothing. I've been eating at Yukihira for 20 years. How shameless. Yukihira's only been open for a little over 10 years. Where'd you get 20 from? You fake customer, get out. The surging crowd made Joichiro helplessly hold his forehead. Ki's culinary skills far exceeded his expectations. The color, aroma, and taste alone were enough to tell. I'm afraid most of the Totsuki Elite 10 after graduation wouldn't be his match. Joichiro mused, watching Ki as the commotion in the restaurant continued. Meanwhile, Soma remained fully focused on his cooking. Sweat gathered and rolled down his forehead, betraying his tension. To date, this was the strongest peer he had encountered. Let me do it, senpai. Seeing the diner in an uproar, Iroha couldn't hold back anymore. Although she was on a diet to maintain her figure, she reasoned, dieting can continue tomorrow, but this bowl of fried rice is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Alright, let this junior be the judge. Joichiro decided, snapping out of his thoughts. At that moment, Soma's dish finally made its appearance. Phew. This is my utmost limit. But the chances of winning are practically zero. Ki is my age, right? Yet his cooking skills. He brought out his plate, feeling a mix of excitement and dejection. It was rare to meet a peer in cooking, but they clearly weren't on the same level. Wow. This is what real fried rice is. My whole body feels tingly. I'm completely immersed in the deliciousness. With just a light taste, an electrifying sensation spread throughout her body. Waves of intense aroma cascaded into Iroha's taste buds and nostrils. Wordlessly, she buried her head and finished the entire bowl of fried rice. Then she took a spoonful of Soma's fried rice. Comparing the two, the huge gap instantly became apparent. Senpai wins. Iroha struggled to swallow, carefully wiped the corners of her mouth, and finally announced Ki's victory to everyone. As expected. The gap is too big. Soma laughed carefreely, scratching his head. Seeing this, Joichiro burst into laughter, and others followed suit. Soma, you need to practice more. Look, even a random guy can beat you. Luckily, Ki doesn't know cooking, otherwise I can't imagine how badly you'd lose. I say, starting tomorrow, Soma should do 300 weightlifting reps daily, aiming to reach Ki's level. Great strength creates miracles. Soma immediately shouted, just wait, I'll definitely win next time. Yeah, we all believe you. They chimed in sarcastically. Everyone burst into laughter. After all, this wasn't Soma's first defeat. The fleeting sense of disappointment quickly gave way to a lively atmosphere. Ki, come back often. I'll definitely beat you next time. Soma called out as Ki paid and prepared to leave. Got it. Ki replied, waving as he exited restaurant Yukihira. The moment he stepped outside, the world seemed to grow quieter. The other shops lining the street appeared somewhat desolate and run down in comparison. "Senpai. Wait for me." Iroha called out, jogging to catch up with him. Gi slowed his pace, and the two walked along the quiet street. As it happened, they were heading in the same direction, both bound for the nearby bus stop. "By the way, Senpai, did you go out with Miku-senpai today?" "How did you figure that out?" Gi asked, surprised. "Because of the charm hanging at your waist. I've never seen it before." The charm swayed gently in the breeze, complementing perfectly the outfit Miku had carefully selected for him. Gi nodded with a smile as they lapsed into a comfortable silence. Neither felt compelled to fill the quiet moment with unnecessary chatter. "See you tomorrow, Senpai," Iroha said softly. "See you tomorrow." With a final exchange of goodbyes, they went their separate ways. Back home, Gi found himself in his bedroom, his mind awash with thoughts. The Great Collector System. Sukina's Finger. The Malevolent Shrine. World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills. The events of a single day had been more extraordinary than his entire 17 years of life combined. Valuable collectibles. He mused, could there be anything unusual in my surroundings? Gi's mind raced as he tried to recall any overlooked details from his past. Chapter 7, Mountain Retreat, Sobu High School rooftop. The next morning, golden dawn light spilled across the land. Sobu High School buzzed with vibrant energy. Cherry blossom petals, in full bloom, danced freely on the breeze throughout the school grounds. Gi sat in the back row by the window in Class 2F. Across the aisle to his right sat a girl holding a folding fan. Her expression was aloof, her cool-toned short hair tousled, and her skin as fair as jade. Her whole being exuded an aura of fragility. Ginkgo Sora. An idol in the shogi world with formidable skills, she had earned the 2-dan rank. As a disciple of Rina Kondo, the Women's Professional Shogi Players Association president, she was known as the White Snow Princess of Nanaiwa. She held the 2 highest titles, Queen and Women's Mjin. Due to her severe heart condition, Ginkgo's frail body couldn't withstand direct sunlight, so she often carried a parasol when going out. She shared a desk with Tki, but their relationship was unremarkable. This was mainly because her personality was eccentric and reclusive, making her extremely difficult to get along with. Not only was him unable to connect with her, having not known her for long, but the entire Sobu High might not have a single person who could communicate with her. As for shogi, well, that field requires talent. Ginkgo had memorized shogi rules at the age of 2 and was both the youngest elementary school mjin in history and the youngest holder of a women's title. Anyone could see her extraordinary talent in the field of shogi. "Gi-kun, I got this question wrong again. I still don't understand." The girl holding up the test paper was on the verge of tears, her waist-length sea-blue hair swaying and her amber eyes misted with moisture. Fumino Furuashi, one of the geniuses at Sobu High, excelled in modern literature, classical literature, and Japanese classics. Students knew her as the sleeping beauty of the literary forest. However, despite her prowess in liberal arts, Fumino aspired to enter a science university. She was the polar opposite of Rizu Ogata, their classmate known as the Clockwork Thumbelina. To help them realize their dreams, their homeroom teacher Mafagirasu tutored them daily. Yet, without fail, these sessions always ended in disappointment. Rumors circulated that Girasu-sensei had lost hope. Instead of supporting their wishes, she considered it better to redirect their misguided thinking and guide them towards success in their natural areas of expertise. This is a basic question, isn't it? Gi glanced at the test paper and sighed helplessly. While Fumino's liberal arts scores were unparalleled, her science aptitude was abysmal. It seemed as if she had traded her science talent for liberal arts prowess. Ugh! I knew it. Even Girasu-sensei is ready to give up. I'm truly worthless, lower than an insect. Wah! Fumino's face crumpled in dejection, her entire being radiating despair. At this moment, their homeroom teacher Girasu entered the classroom. Her waist-length cherry blossom-colored hair framed a slender, tall figure and well-proportioned body. Dressed in a dark suit and black high heels, she exuded a cool demeanor. "Everyone, please settle down," she said. "Soon, it will be time for Sobu High's annual mountain retreat. I hope you all prepare in advance and use this opportunity to improve your academic abilities." Upon hearing this, the class immediately buzzed with excitement. Cooped up in the school every day, they eagerly anticipated the mountain excursion. Gi rested his chin on his palm, his thoughts already drifting. Despite finding numerous casualty reports online, I couldn't uncover any information about jujutsu sorcerers or similar entities. I did, however, discover a mysterious public safety devil hunters division and a highly effective shrine renowned for its exorcism skills. The existence of a public safety demon hunter division suggests there must be several private demon hunter organizations too, but I can't find a way to contact them. He sighed softly, then turned his mind to other possibilities. As the lunch break bell rang, the atmosphere in the entire class suddenly became lively. Small groups of 2 or 3 gathered together. Gi, carrying his prepared lunchbox, headed to Sobuhi's rooftop. Opening the creaking iron door, he was greeted by the expansive view. 2 pairs of eyes immediately fell upon him. Yutaha Kasamijoka from Class 2A. Saki Kawasaki from Class 2E. The rooftop at this hour was typically a refuge for those who didn't quite fit in. "It's this guy again," Yutaha muttered, her teeth gritting in annoyance at the sight of Gi. She came to the rooftop to escape the crowds. If he'd come alone, it wouldn't have been an issue. After all, she didn't own the place. Even that seemingly delinquent girl, Saki, frequented the spot. But Gi's presence was one thing, bringing his girlfriend was another. Who could tolerate opening their eyes only to witness others flaunting their relationship? Yet, unable to voice her frustrations, she could only endure it, eating with her head bowed. Gi sent a message to Miku but received no response. At that moment, another figure appeared at the rooftop entrance, his deskmate, Ginkgo. When it came to poor social relationships, she certainly ranked high. Her footsteps faltered slightly, clearly surprised by the scene. She found a shaded spot away from the sunlight and opened her lunchbox. Yutaha took out a sandwich she had bought from the school convenience store. "Gi-kun." A girl with cherry red long hair came running towards him. The other 3 glanced up, then resumed eating silently, heads bowed. "Sorry, Miku's phone died, so she couldn't message you. Yotsuba sprained her ankle helping the girls' track and field club this morning. Miku's looking after her, so she probably can't join you today." The breathless Itsuki whispered in his ear. "I see. Could you take this lunchbox to Miku, then?" Miku had given him a protective charm at the exorcism shop. He'd been pondering how to repay her. With his newfound culinary skills, a homemade lunch seemed the perfect choice. "Of course. I'll make sure Miku gets it. I should go now, I need to check on Yotsuba too." With that, Itsuki left the rooftop, lunchbox in hand. The others sighed in relief. After all, who wants to witness a couple's affection during lunch? Yutaha's gaze turned curious. She'd heard of the quintuplets before, but seeing someone nearly identical to Miku still startled her. A thought struck her, could Gi truly tell those 5 sisters apart? What if he couldn't distinguish them, or if a misunderstanding arose? Wouldn't that lead to forbidden love? A family torn apart? Thinking of this, Yutaha couldn't suppress a wry smile. Her delicate feet, encased in black stockings, tapped rhythmically against the ground. The subtle movement of her right leg inadvertently emphasized her curves. The surge of writing inspiration flickered like a string of light bulbs, each flash igniting a spark of excitement in her heart. However, this burst of creative energy was short-lived. Gi settled into a comfortable spot and opened his lunchbox. Instantly, a rich aroma wafted across the rooftop, enveloping the space. Chapter 8, The Opened Pandora's Box Gulp. She swallowed involuntarily. An overwhelming aroma of delicious food wafted across the rooftop. It was as if he had opened not a lunchbox, but Pandora's box. The surge of writing inspiration that had been flowing came to an abrupt halt. Even the constant shaking of her plump thighs suddenly stopped. The rich scent of eel meat frantically stimulated everyone's taste buds. Yutaha stared blankly at the dry sandwich in her hand. At this moment, she finally understood the meaning of tasteless as chewing wax. Ginkgo, sitting in the shade downwind, had it even worse. The rich scent of the eel rice sauce drew her gaze like a magnet. First, I had to endure those 2 being lovey-dovey, and now I have to endure this aroma. I can't stay on this rooftop anymore. Saki swallowed her food viciously. Yutaha quickly recovered, finished her bread in a few bites, and resumed writing her manuscript, trying to divert her attention. On a fine afternoon, Rika stood at the classroom door, facing Taijuk. Saying, "Die, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I want to eat eel rice. Eel rice. Eel rice." With restless leg shaking, her hand moved at lightning speed. While the 3 were suffering, Itsuki descended the central stairway and encountered Akika. "How's Yotsuba?" "Nino just messaged that it's not serious, just a sprained ankle that needs rest." Akika sighed with relief. She had feared her sister's injury might require a hospital visit. "That lunchbox in your hand. It's from Gi-kun for Miku. He asked me to deliver it to her." My, who would have thought? Gi-kun is quite the catch, isn't he?" Akika's impish grin prompted Itsuki to instinctively shield the lunchbox. If Akika and Nino hadn't teased Miku yesterday, causing her to stay up all night and forget to charge her phone, none of this would have happened. Itsuki was determined not to let Akika meddle again. "Don't touch it. Gi-kun prepared this for Miku," Itsuki warned, frowning as she fended off the reaching hand. "I know, I just want to take a peek. Looking won't make it vanish. Aren't you curious about what Gi-kun made for Miku?" You know, no one's ever made me a lunchbox. Come on, just one look. I promise not to touch anything. Akika's curiosity was insatiable as she persisted in trying to grab the lunchbox. To prevent it from tumbling to the ground, Itsuki reluctantly conceded. Fine, but remember, look only, don't touch anything. Don't worry, you know me. As she spoke, Akika carefully lifted the lid a crack. The rich aroma of eel from the lunchbox immediately wafted out. Wow, this smells amazing. A tingling sensation, like an electric shock, coursed through her body. Itsuki, standing nearby, also twitched her nose, catching a whiff. The fragrance surpassed even the eel dishes prepared by that renowned chef who once owned a high-end restaurant. Say, it should be fine if I taste just a little bit, right? Before she finished speaking, Itsuki snatched back the lunchbox protectively. How could that be okay? Ki-kun prepared this for Miku. Struggling to swallow her saliva, she righteously rejected the proposal. What's the big deal? We're quintuplets, you know. The food Miku's boyfriend prepared for her is practically prepared for me too. Miku's boyfriend, that's like. MMPH, I'm just kidding, don't cover my nose, I can't breathe. Itsuki clapped her hand over Akika's mouth, fearfully surveying their surroundings. If someone overheard, it would cause a huge commotion. Seeing that no one else was passing by, she finally released her hand. Don't say such things. If someone else hears, we're done for. Miku might get scared into dropping out of school because of rumors. It would be trouble for Ki-kun too. Akika stuck out her tongue sheepishly at her serious and stern look. But if I just taste a little bit, Miku won't mind, right? Surely our bond as quintuplets counts for more than Ki-kun? Akika licked her lips, pleading desperately. This isn't right. We should tell Miku first. Itsuki looked troubled, her eyes darting towards the lunchbox. Truth be told, she also wanted to taste it. Sensing her inner conflict, Akika quickly said, let's just have a tiny taste. You know what I mean by tiny, right? Just a nibble. Besides, Itsuki, you haven't eaten yet, have you? As if on cue, Itsuki's stomach growled. Any other day, she'd be in the cafeteria by now. But today, with Yotsuba's injury and Miku's request, she'd been running around without a single bite of hot food. The tantalizing aroma only intensified her hunger. Reluctantly rubbing her stomach, she stammered, so. Just a tiny taste? Right, just a tiny taste. Exchanging furtive glances, Itsuki and Akika moved to a corner. Akika took the lead, picking up a small piece of eel and rice with her chopsticks and popping it into her mouth. Oh my. It's divine. Ki-kun's cooking is impeccable. If he wasn't Miku's boyfriend, I'd really. Just kidding. Cupping her face, Akika's words tumbled out. Catching her sister's gaze, she quickly composed herself and smiled sheepishly. Quick, try it. This is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. Alright, we said just a tiny taste. Can't you control yourself? Itsuki chided, but then her pupils dilated. The incomparable aroma made her brain construct an involuntary illusion. She imagined riding an eel across a sparkling sea, cruising through azure waters. The taste exploded on her tongue, tender fish meat transporting her to the ocean floor, as if listening to its mysteries. Wait, we can't eat anymore. Itsuki exclaimed. Seeing Akika move her chopsticks again, she hurriedly intervened. It's fine. Akika insisted, I'll just have 2 or 3 grains of rice with the eel sauce. We've already eaten a small piece of eel, what difference do a few grains make? Itsuki found herself agreeing. Surely Miku wouldn't mind such a tiny amount. Following Akika's lead, she scooped 2 grains of rice into her mouth. That's enough. Itsuki declared, we can't continue. Don't worry. Akika soothed, the lunchbox is huge. We said we'd just taste a bit, would Miku even notice a few more grains? Itsuki's resolve wavered. After all, wasn't a small bite the same as a big one? They tasted again. If we eat just 2 or 3 grains each time, it doesn't matter if we do it more often, right? Akika reasoned, we're eating so little, Miku won't be able to tell. Surveying the lunchbox, Itsuki noted they'd only tasted a tiny portion. Surely Miku wouldn't notice. Their hands moved faster, chopsticks a blur. Chapter 9, the first day of missing the senpai in the infirmary of Sobya High School, the members of the girls' track and field club had already left after apologizing. Miku and Nino sat helplessly by Yotsuba's sickbed. Seriously, can't you just refuse those annoying people? Every time someone asks for a little favor, you happily run off to help. Nino scolded with an exasperated expression as she put away her phone. Yotsuba, feeling the pressure, scratched her head sheepishly, not daring to speak. And what about Akika and Itsuki? Where on earth have those two gone? Since sending messages earlier, the two had seemingly lost contact. Could anything be more important than their sister's injury? Nino walked out of the infirmary and looked around, but still saw no sign of them. Itsuki's absence was understandable. Miku had asked her to explain the situation to Gi. But Akika, being the eldest sister, had simply vanished without a trace. Maybe something came up. Miku said softly as she smoothed out the bedsheets. Nino, fuming, could only sigh and say, "Fine, I'll go buy some meals from the cafeteria." After wasting so much time, Itsuki must be starving. As she had predicted, Itsuki was indeed in a panic. She and Akiko were staring blankly at the empty lunchbox. They had agreed to just have a small taste, but in the end, even the eel sauce had been licked clean. "How are we going to explain this to Miku?" Akiko asked, her expression stiff as she savored the lingering taste. "Normally, she'd forgive us. Right?" In a moment of distraction, the eel rice had seemingly vanished into thin air. Itsuki felt the most miserable. Not only was she still hungry, but she also had to endure the torment of her conscience. Although tempted to blame Akiko, she knew she was equally responsible. Why couldn't she resist temptation? Now Miku was the least of their worries. The main issue was explaining this to Gi-kun. The delicious taste made it clear he had put a lot of effort into the dish. Who could have imagined the lunchbox would be devoured en route? "Why don't we keep this from Miku for now, wash the lunchbox, and return it?" Akiko suggested. "And what do we tell Gi-kun? That we ate Miku's lunch?" Itsuki's beautiful eyes glanced over, and Akiko immediately backed down. "How about we praised Gi-kun to boost his favorability with her? That way, the lunchbox won't have been wasted." After all, the ultimate goal was to increase favorability. When Miku and Gi-kun got married in the future, who would care about these little things? Itsuki looked at the lunchbox, struggling for a moment before saying, "Let's wash it clean first and then decide." The two cleaned the box before heading to the infirmary. By the time they arrived, Nino had already returned with lunch. "Don't just stand there. I got takeout from the cafeteria." Nino pointed at the food on the chair, gesturing to the two. Itsuki, famished, immediately grabbed a portion and began eating. "I'll pass for now. I'm not that hungry." "Let Itsuki have it," Akiko said, pushing all the food in front of her towards her sister. Suddenly, Miku asked, "Is everything okay with Gi-kun?" Itsuki's heart skipped a beat, and her eating pace slowed. Before she could speak, Akiko chimed in, "It's fine, he said he understands. I must say, Gi-kun is really something. Not only does he consistently rank in the top 30 of our grade, but his personality and temperament are also beyond reproach." The excessive praise made Nino raise an eyebrow. The other four sisters were typically more reserved about Miku's love interest. They wouldn't praise someone so openly. Even Yotsuba in the sickbed seemed to sense something was amiss. Only Miku, her face flushed, remained oblivious and listened quietly. Itsuki discreetly tugged at Akika's clothes, and she finally stopped. Realizing she had been too eager, she decided it was better to proceed slowly. Meanwhile, the two culprits pondered how to properly handle the lunchbox situation. Meanwhile, in Class 1C of Sobya High School, 3 lively young girls gathered to chat. "Ayaroa, are you okay? You've been distracted for a while now. Is today's food not to your liking?" Aya Saragaki looked worriedly at her friend, who was listlessly poking at her lunchbox with her chopsticks, clearly not herself. "Ah. It's about the same as before. Maybe my taste buds have become more discerning." Ayaroa chewed her food, feeling that something was missing. Despite the lunchbox being filled with a variety of dishes, the taste paled in comparison to that day's fried rice. Garino Kozaka stood up and sampled some of the food. Finding no difference from before, she said, "Auntie's cooking skills haven't declined at all. Could it really be that your palate has become more refined?" Hearing this, Ayaroa became even more dejected. She desperately wanted to eat that bowl of fried rice again. But that was impossible. Gi-senpai was Miku-senpai's boyfriend from the second year. If he came to cook for her, wouldn't that cause complete chaos? How frustrating. Why did senpai have to have a girlfriend? If he were single, she could approach him openly. If only. Ayaroa quickly shook her head, clearing away the intrusive thoughts. She almost let a bowl of fried rice cloud her judgment. "Ayaroa, what do you think about those second-year senpais?" Ayase asked in a hushed voice. "I heard that Hayama-senpai from the second year has a gentle personality and is very handsome. The whole class has been talking about him lately." "Humphrey. The truly attractive senpais have already been snatched up," Ayaroa said with a hint of resentment. Her mind was filled with thoughts of that golden bowl of fried rice. And Gi-senpai's looks were top-tier too. Of course, what mattered wasn't his appearance, but his cooking. His inner qualities. Sigh. Day 1 of pining for senpai. Garino and Ayase exchanged knowing glances. "Ayaroa, it sounds like you know a second-year senpai." Ayase probed gently. Well, I do know one, but he has a girlfriend. Ah, I see. Ayaz and Garino nodded, suddenly understanding Iroa's mood. The three girls moved on to other topics, not lingering on the subject. As the day progressed, classes at Sobya High School came to an end. Sorry, the chauffeur picked us up today. Miku says she'll accompany Kikon tomorrow. Reading Itsuki's message, Ki wasn't bothered. He pocketed his phone and faced the obstacle before him. Under repair, road closed, Chapter 10, Ghost Demon, domain expansion. Bright barriers and danger signs blocked the way. This wasn't Ki's first encounter with such a situation. In the past, he would have immediately taken a detour when faced with these barriers. After all, renovation sites often posed various risks. One could end up crushed by collapsing construction materials or severely injured by an inattentive construction vehicle. He had even witnessed a dilapidated building collapse unexpectedly. Previously, he would have simply blamed such incidents on shoddy construction. Now, he realized it might have been because he couldn't see. Neither evil spirits nor cursed spirits are visible to everyone. Only those with spiritual sight can faintly perceive evil spirits. Those who can see cursed spirits earn the title of window in the Jujutsu world. Most people are essentially blind to these phenomena. Even if killed by a cursed spirit, they'd assume they were hit by a runaway vehicle. He placed one hand on the barrier and effortlessly vaulted over it. The cursed energy from the special grade cursed object, Sukina's finger, stored in his collection space, could be used to nourish and strengthen his physical body. This constant infusion of cursed energy was steadily enhancing his physical abilities. His already well-conditioned physique grew increasingly powerful and agile. Meanwhile, in the area sealed off by the barriers, the fully armed Public Safety Devil Hunters Division carefully searched for traces. Amino, you're in luck. If we manage to capture this ghost demon, you might get a powerful ability after contracting with it. The squad leader of the Devil Hunters Division recalled information about ghost demon contractors, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Huh? Amino, the newcomer, looked utterly bewildered. After undergoing advanced training from the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division, she had transformed completely. Though still at an ordinary person's level, her physical abilities surpassed the average. Moreover, she possessed knowledge about demons that most people lacked. In her mind, demons were creatures that devoured humans whole. Contracting with a demon allowed one to summon it in dangerous situations. However, each summoning came at a price. The cost ranged from an insignificant strand of hair to vital bodily organs. Worse still, the price was entirely determined by the demon's whim, an extremely unfair arrangement. As if sensing Himeno's thoughts, the one-armed, one-eyed squad leader smiled and said, "You're quite fortunate. Ghost demons are special. Our intel suggests that contracting with a ghost demon grants you a supernatural ability you can use frequently. Interestingly, this ghost demon's contract price follows a pattern. For the first contract, she always demands the contractor's eyeball. Eyeball." Himeno's heart skipped a beat. Her left hand unconsciously rose to touch her eye. That's not so bad. She forced an extremely strained smile. For ordinary people, this price was too steep. However, members of the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division constantly teetered on the edge of death. Casualties occurred on almost every mission. Exchanging an eyeball for permanent supernatural abilities. 99% of the Devil Hunters Division members would jump at the chance. But for a newcomer like Himeno, it was still a bit too much. "Matsushita, what's the situation on your end?" The squad leader used the walkie-talkie to check in with the surveillance personnel. "All normal. The ghost demon's contractor is emotionally stuck. He's standing up. No. The ghost demon is devouring his body." In the surveillance personnel's field of vision, a middle-aged man with a tattered coat and unkempt facial hair suddenly stood. His left sleeve went limp, quickly followed by his right. "Take it all. As long as you can kill everyone, take it all." The man's expression was frenzied as he shouted skyward. In an instant, the middle-aged man vanished completely. Only his tattered coat and dirty clothes remained, spread on the ground. The squad leader next to Himeno blanched. Before he could issue an order, the sound of bones cracking crackled through the walkie-talkie. "Everyone, attention. The ghost demon has gone berserk." As the order was transmitted, a wordless panic instantly gripped the area. Report. Ghost demon appeared in Area A, she's vanished. No sooner had the words been uttered than the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division squad in Area went silent. Himeno and her colleagues were stunned. They hadn't fully grasped the implications of vanished. What followed was even more chilling as the remaining team members successively fell out of contact. The entire process occurred without the slightest disturbance. It was as if the members of the Devil Hunters Division were blind to the ghost demon's presence. Could this ghost demon be invisible? Himeno swallowed hard, her hands tightly gripping the dagger at her waist. Crack. The hair on her body stood on end. The crisp sound of breaking bones seemed to emanate from her own body. However, that was merely an illusion brought on by her extreme tension. In reality, a member of the Demon Hunter division nearby had their neck twisted. Crack. Another bone-breaking sound echoed. Both the squad leader and Himeno's faces turned ashen. They couldn't see the ghost demon at all. Hellhound demon, the squad leader suddenly roared. His other arm vanished into thin air. In its wake, a ferocious-looking, enormous hellhound demon materialized. But mere seconds after its appearance, its four legs left the ground. It was then strangled to death before everyone's eyes. Witnessing this scene, the members of the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division were paralyzed with fear. The sight of everyone scattering in panic made Himeno's heart plummet. On her first day on the job, was this how she would die? She hadn't even said a proper goodbye to her father and sister. Suddenly, an eerie chill enveloped her body. An irresistible force descended upon her neck. Just as it was about to snap her neck, a calm voice rang out like a thunderclap. Domain Expansion, Malevolent Shrine, Chapter 11, Collecting the Ghost Devil. The Ghost Hand. A terrifying and grotesque malevolent shrine rose from the ground. Eerie creature bones formed its foundation, while four blood-red, ravenous mouths emerged from its sides. Vivid, dripping blood formed a dome that covered the entire sky. In an instant, the survivors from the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division were pulled into the domain. Horror etched their faces as they gazed upon the transformed environment. Himeno stared blankly at the malevolent shrine that had risen nearby. It resembled a bloody slaughterhouse more than a demon-suppressing shrine. A figure stood directly in front of it. Ho! The sound of breathing echoed clearly. Beads of sweat trickled down Himeno's forehead. Then, the world plunged into deathly silence. The squad leader, his arms completely devoured by the demon, widened his eyes. The other survivors stared in terror at what loomed behind her. Himeno's gaze swept over the ground, which resembled a sea of blood. There, in her line of sight, was the very demon they had been pursuing. The ghost devil. It appeared like a long-haired female ghost, but beneath its skirt were not feet, but countless arms, a sight that sent shivers down one's spine. What made Himeno break out in a cold sweat was the ghost devil's arm resting on her neck, unnoticed until now. With just a slight effort, it could snuff out her life as easily as squeezing a chick. Her heart raced, her throat constricting. Innate technique, dismantle. Suddenly, countless streams of blood burst from the ghost devil's body. Its densely packed, eerie arms had been completely severed in an instant. Only its head fell to the ground, uncertainty filling its eyes. Those eyes, brimming with an eerie and sinister feeling, rolled about aimlessly. The surrounding members of the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division who witnessed this all shuddered. That is. Shut up. The squad leader, completely disregarding his wounds, interrupted Himeno in a hushed voice. This is domain expansion from a Jujutsu sorcerer. It's a killing technique that only special-grade Jujutsu sorcerers and cursed spirits can use. Don't speak carelessly, absolutely do not speak carelessly. His words trembled with fear. The other experienced members of the Devil Hunters Division also shivered. Jujutsu sorcerers and the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division were separate organizations, but the Jujutsu headquarters and the Public Bureau occasionally communicated. The veteran members of the Devil Hunters Division had heard of Jujutsu sorcerers and knew that only those of special grade could achieve a complete domain expansion. What is special grade? Jujutsu sorcerers classified cursed spirits into grades. Grade 4 cursed spirits, the weakest, could be killed with just a baseball bat imbued with cursed energy. However, a grade 1 cursed spirit would require tanks to defeat it. At special grade, their power increased exponentially. Even carpet bombing with intercontinental missiles might not kill a special grade cursed spirit. In the entire Jujutsu world, sorcerers who mastered domain expansion were rare. The Devil Hunters weren't sure whether to consider this encounter lucky or tragic. Diki walked behind Himeno and picked up the Ghost Devil's head. Detected host collecting Ghost Devil, reward, Ghost Devil pledge, Ghost Hand. As the cold mechanical voice echoed, Diki sensed a mysterious change. An invisible hand materialized in the void, instantly reaching all parts of the domain with his thoughts. The Malevolent Shrine's domain vanished, and the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division members returned to their original space. The Ghost Devil's power was pathetically weak. After the domain expansion, Diki merely raised a finger. An invisible slash reduced the Ghost Devil to ribbons. Its feeble strength didn't even offer the satisfaction of bullying the weak. The only noteworthy aspect was perhaps its invisibility. Those gripped by fear couldn't perceive its traces. In all other aspects, it was small fry at best. It got my hopes up for nothing, Diki thought. He deliberately observed for a while to prevent any surprises. Once he grasped the devil's true nature, disappointment set in. Jujutsu sorcerer, sir. The Devil Hunters Division survivors eyed him uneasily. Though young in appearance, The domain expansion had instilled a sense of reverence. Does the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division have contacts with private demon hunter organizations? Guy asked bluntly. Fumbling around like headless flies would waste time. He had no interest in joining the Public Safety Division as a workhorse. Private organizations offered the best channel for information. Why yes. We do. Himeno, realizing he'd saved her life, nodded quickly. Her mother, a private devil hunter, had died on a mission after misjudging a devil's true strength. They'd been defeated and killed outright. This was why she joined the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division, to gain more power and utterly destroy that devil. However, today's events shattered her naive ambitions. Even a random devil could inflict heavy losses on the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division. What about the devil she was pursuing? Its strength would surely eclipse the ghost devils. Could she truly avenge her mother with her own power? Moreover, her father's health had deteriorated since her mother's death. His depression worsened daily, and his time seemed limited. If something were to happen to her too, what would become of her younger sister? With her mind in turmoil, Himeno provided the contact information for the private sector organization, an online forum accessible only with verified credentials. Guy logged into the forum using her identity key. As expected, he found a wealth of information channels. Having obtained what he sought, he departed without delay. Himeno watched his silhouette vanish into the darkness, suddenly frozen in place. It took several calls from the squad leader to snap her back to reality. Captain, Go back, register, sign the confidentiality agreement, and you're free to leave. The squad leader interrupted, anticipating her decision. Don't feel pressured, it's a common situation. Your quitting might even be for the best. The demons in the Devil Hunters Division. They're not suitable for contracts. Gazing at the armless squad leader, Himeno's heart churned. Yet, she resolved to quit the Public Safety Devil Hunters Division. Her decision solidified when she checked her phone. Her father had passed away. If something were to happen to her as well, who would care for her younger sister? Amidst her grief, Himeno felt a flicker of gratitude for encountering that mysterious and powerful special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer. Without him, today might have spelled disaster for her sister as well. Upon returning home, Guy immediately delved into researching the ghost hand. Despite the ghost devil's feeble strength, its collection value proved surprisingly high. The ghost hand, a reward from the collection, was far from ordinary. Chapter 12, Telekinesis and the Matsushita Group, Ghost Hand, Roar. A faint wail echoed through the air. The invisible hand reached out and grasped the void. The evil spirit, once untouchable, now found itself trapped in its grip. Like a helpless ant, it was at the mercy of Guy's whim. Detected host collecting low-level evil spirit, not worth collecting, unable to record, he had intended to collect it, hoping for a reward. However, the collection space deemed it a low-level evil spirit, impossible to record. Could the world fusion have made ghosts and demons special? A hint of doubt arose in his mind. As the ghost hand increased its strength, the evil spirit's form shattered. With no collection value, it had no reason to exist. My flesh is being nourished by cursed energy, continuously improving my physical attributes and perception. But compared to Maiko Yatsuya's spiritual sight, it's still not even close. Maiko's spiritual sight was extraordinary. It was powerful enough to see evil spirits disguised as deities, and even some powerful ones, yet weak enough to miss the powerful life aura of her close friend Hana Yurikawa. Her spiritual sight seemed to be constantly evolving. Since its sudden awakening, it had been on a rapid ascent. Other people with this ability could only vaguely see the outlines of evil spirits. Some were so weak they could only clearly see harmless level ones. Guy couldn't match Maiko's level. He could only vaguely sense the general trajectory of evil spirits with the help of cursed energy. Yet, this was enough. The ghost hand's attack range covered the entire area. As long as he could sense their outline, evil spirits were almost certainly doomed. It had a dual impact on both the soul and physical realms. This was truly an unexpected delight for him. The only flaw might be that it seemed unable to improve. Regardless of how strong the cursed energy used was, the ghost hand's power remained constant. Perhaps because he obtained this through the system, which usurped this ability from the ghost devil, it had a predetermined upper limit. In other words, the ability would only improve if the ghost devil itself became stronger. Guy sat in the bedroom, gazing towards the living room. Ghost hand, the invisible hand effortlessly passed through the wall and refrigerator door, grasping a can of ice-cold cola, then bringing it back to the bedroom. So when held by the ghost hand, it can pass through physical barriers? Guy marveled, holding the ice-cold cola with excitement. This process not only demonstrated the ghost hand's ability to ignore physical obstacles but also showcased its precision. It hadn't crushed the cola can. Guy strolled to the balcony, savoring the cool breeze while sipping his cola. Simultaneously, he browsed the private Demon Hunter forum for relevant information. We've captured a terrifyingly powerful sea cucumber devil. Interested buyers please DM. Price negotiable. You can sign a contract after purchase. Sign a contract with a damn sea cucumber? Are you out of your mind? Terrifyingly powerful? Who in their right mind would fear a sea cucumber? The Matsushita group is actively recruiting. We're severely understaffed. Anyone can join regardless of abilities. The organization also provides contracted devils. Hiss. The Matsushita group is quite aggressive. I heard they've recently taken over Chiba's underground forces. All former gangs have been absorbed. Has the Matsushita group captured a devil? Could this mean they might gradually develop behind the scenes to rival the public safety devil hunter division? Captured a devil? Have you considered they might become targets instead? Aren't private sector devil hunters around Chiba City rapidly decreasing? Bah. Don't spout nonsense. It's because a powerful devil has appeared in Chiba City. I've seen it, shaped like a giant bat, amidst the swirling rumors, whose truth was impossible to verify. Two pieces of news particularly caught Gi's attention. First was the rapidly rising underground force in Chiba City, the Matsushita group. According to forum information, their ascent was eerily swift. The group's history could be traced back only 15 years at most. Before that, the Matsushita group was just another run-of-the-mill gang in Chiba's underworld. However, 3 years ago, their growth became extraordinarily rapid. Not only did they absorb all underworld forces, but they also began expanding into the real estate industry. They had already clashed several times with local powerful families. The second piece of news concerned a bat devil that had recently invaded Chiba. This wasn't mere fiction, it was supported by photographic evidence. The creature had already devoured a chilling double-digit number of people. Private demon hunter organizations and the public safety devil hunter division had launched several encirclement operations. All ended in failure. The demon had since gone into hiding, its whereabouts unknown. Gi was about to delve deeper into the thread when he received a message from Miku. Wrapped in her blanket, Miku tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. Staring at the dark phone screen, she felt an indescribable unease. Usually, Gi would have messaged her by now. Today, however, he'd sent only one message during lunch break, saying he was on the rooftop. Since then, silence. Even the message she'd sent right after getting home remained unanswered. Was Gi sulking because of what happened at noon? Or worse, had he met other girls during lunch on the rooftop? The thought made Miku's heart clench. She'd occasionally seen those 3 girls on the rooftop, all as beautiful as her, one even Gi's desk mate. Her mood plummeted further. She opened her phone, staring at the unanswered chat. Wild thoughts raced through her mind. I should explain. She thought, but how? It's not that I don't care about Gi-kun, it's just that Yatsuba was injured. Miku typed and deleted messages repeatedly. Finally, after what felt like ages, she nervously sent one. And after some time, the phone buzzed again. Gi-kun, boyfriend, sorry, I was busy with something earlier and didn't notice your message. Seeing his reply, Miku exhaled in relief. She then steered their chat to other topics, her anxiety slowly ebbing away. Meanwhile, Itsuki and Akiko crept out of their rooms. They meticulously rewashed the already cleaned lunchbox. How should we break this to Miku? Do we just tell her outright? Chapter 13, Akiko's diversion. The moonlight cast a faint glow in the dark living room. Itsuki, holding the freshly washed lunchbox, suggested to Akiko beside her that it would be better to come clean rather than waiting helplessly for Miku's judgment. No way. Akiko said firmly, haven't you noticed that Miku's been acting strange? Itsuki thought back for a moment and realized that Miku did seem to be in a bad mood. Could she have had an argument with Ki? Why don't we wait a couple more days, until she's in a better mood? Akiko tentatively suggested. Itsuki shook her head, we should just tell her directly. Ki and Miku might already know about the lunchbox from their conversations. There's no need to keep hiding it. Besides, we're in the wrong here. Admitting our mistake and apologizing promptly is the most important thing. We can't keep this from them and delay indefinitely. She saw the situation clearly, but Akiko kept trying to obstruct. Well, maybe we could. Itsuki, your eyes look scary. Akiko shrank back, not daring to meet her gaze. Don't tell me you never intended to return the lunchbox to Miku? Caught out, Akiko gave an awkward laugh. Why? Itsuki asked, puzzled. Well, I just wanted to eat Gi's cooking one more time. Hearing this, Itsuki couldn't help but smile wryly. What a relief, she had almost thought Akiko harbored inappropriate feelings for Gi. Thinking about the taste of his cooking, she swallowed hard. Although she had eaten the food Nino brought during lunch break, it paled in comparison. If only she could savor Gi's cooking to her heart's content. Why don't we just ask him directly? There's no need to keep the lunchbox. Itsuki's suggestion was immediately met with mockery. No wonder you don't have a boyfriend. Gi is dating Miku, not serving as her personal chef. How can you suggest ordering him around like that? It would damage her relationship with him. Akiko, suddenly posing as a relationship expert, shook her head knowingly. As if you have won. Itsuki muttered, then continued, but regardless of what you say, it's pointless. Miku will still meet Gi during lunch break tomorrow. Hearing this, Akiko froze. She had forgotten the most crucial detail. Gi and Miku would be lovey-dovey together every day. If Yotsuba hadn't been injured, this lunchbox would have already been in Miku's possession. Oh, right. Let's give the lunchbox to Miku tomorrow at noon, and we'll both apologize. As for returning it, it's better if she does it herself. Itsuki's heart finally settled. She had genuinely worried that Akiko would keep prolonging this situation. In truth, she had simply wanted to enjoy one more meal. That lunch during break time had been eaten cautiously, with great restraint. However, seeing that it couldn't be helped, Akiko had no choice but to concede. And yet, when luck strikes, there's no stopping it. The next day, a cold, drizzling rain enveloped Sobya High School. As raindrops hit the ground, a thin mist gradually rose. This weather was clearly unsuitable for eating on the rooftop. Moreover, according to the forecast, the rain was likely to continue for a week. Akiko pressed a finger to her lips, revealing a sly, fox-like smile. Hey, Itsuki, you go ahead to the cafeteria first. I'll take the lunchbox to Miku. We can't keep Ki waiting. Itsuki hesitated slightly, not because she distrusted Akiko. She simply felt that since it was both their mistake, there was no need for her sister to bear it alone. Although Yotsuba's injury isn't serious, the roads are slippery in the rain, so she still needs care. Mentioning Yotsuba's injury, Itsuki didn't delay any further. Akiko stood in place, pretending to send a message to Miku. Once her sister left the classroom, she headed towards Ki's class. At that moment in the classroom, Ki was biting into a sandwich. He had originally planned to make a lunchbox, but he had stayed out late talking with Miku. When he woke up and found few ingredients in the fridge, he simply decided to be lazy. Beside him, Ginko felt slightly relieved seeing him take out bread. If it smelled that good on the well-ventilated rooftop. She didn't dare imagine what would happen if he took out a lunchbox in the classroom. However, this desk mate was really keeping his talents hidden. Who would have thought his cooking skills could be so advanced? His culinary prowess might even surpass that of chefs in high-end restaurants. At this time, the entire classroom was quiet. Some people's attention was focused on Ginko. After all, her reputation in the shogi world was widely known. Even Fumino, Furuashi, sitting in front, kept turning to look at her. Gi-kun. A sweet voice instantly drew everyone's attention. Akiko stood at the door, waving enthusiastically at him. Isn't that Nakano-san? She seems to be Gi's girlfriend. What? Gi has such a beautiful girlfriend and we didn't know? Well, he's not bad-looking himself, just not very outgoing. Gi walked to the door and accepted the cleaned lunchbox. Miku says your cooking is absolutely amazing, Gi-kun. Even I couldn't resist after tasting just a few grains of rice. Akiko gushed, having just returned the lunchbox. It's just that Itsuki was a bit greedy, and Miku hadn't eaten much before it was all gone. I'm so sorry, Gi-kun. It was meant for Miku, but... She clasped her hands together, adopting a contrite expression. If you enjoyed it, I can make another portion. Gi offered casually. But unexpectedly. I'd love that. The atmosphere suddenly froze. Akiko quickly backpedaled. I mean Miku would love it. Then I'll prepare 2 portions tomorrow. Please help me bring them to Miku. Gi had his suspicions but didn't refuse. After all, it was just 2 lunchboxes. No problem. I'll make sure to complete the mission. After making the promise, Akiko suddenly felt this phrase was becoming a bit too familiar. Thank you in advance, Gi-kun. She waved goodbye, the phone in her pocket vibrating incessantly. She knew without checking that it was Itsuki discovering her unauthorized actions. Indeed, that was exactly the case. Itsuki, supporting Yotsuba, walked into the cafeteria and encountered Nino and Miku. If Miku was with Nino, then where were Akiko and the lunchbox? Her eyes suddenly widened as she realized she had been deceived once again. Chapter 14, This Cat. Actually flirting, a continuous drizzle fell like a giant curtain. As the bell signaled the end of class, Itsuki, wearing a gloomy expression, dragged Akiko out of the school. She clearly wanted to discuss the lunchbox matter with her. Yotsuba and Nino walked together, slowly leaving while holding umbrellas. Meanwhile, Gi strolled in the light rain with Miku, sharing an umbrella. Their soft palms were clasped together, their bodies almost pressed against each other. He could even feel the smooth texture of her black stockings. Iroha, who had just left the academy, also witnessed this scene. Ah, It seems the relationship between those two senpais is quite good. The one who often wears headphones around her neck, that's Miku-senpai from the second year, right? Ayase, who had walked up behind, murmured while looking at the umbrella-sharing couple. They're said to be quintuplets, almost identical in appearance. Kirino's eyes were full of amazement. It was her first time seeing quintuplets who looked so similar. If it weren't for each of them having their own style, she might not have been able to tell them apart. Oh, what are the differences between those 5 senpais? The bewildered Iroha clearly hadn't paid much attention to the second-year students. Akiko-senpai has short hair and a fashionable dress style. Nino-senpai likes nail art, often inviting other senpais to get their nails done together on weekends. Miku-senpai wears headphones around her neck, and her signature style is black stockings. Kirino suddenly paused, then said in a low voice, "There's a rumor that Miku-senpai often wears stockings because Gi-senpai requested it." Ayase and Iroha both widened their eyes in surprise. Is that so? I never would have guessed that Gi-senpai had such a preference. Iroha found it hard to understand, were black stockings really that attractive? Ayase, however, was horrified, her conservative nature unable to accept such a notion. Ha ha, it's just a rumor. Kirino added, Yotsuba-senpai is the most energetic, with excellent sports grades, and Itsuki-senpai. Well, she's the one with the biggest appetite. Ayase and Iroha nodded, their confusion clearing as they could now distinguish between the quintuplets. Let's head back. Kirino suggested, glancing at the overcast sky, who knows when this light rain will end. We'll probably have to stay in the gymnasium for training. Her tone was somewhat dejected. Yeah, the weather forecast says it'll last for a whole week. Ayase remarked, staring at the sky in confusion. It was clear just yesterday. The weather had changed dramatically, promising a week of continuous light rain. I heard it's because of typhoon number 18 passing by. Iroha explained. Understanding dawned on the other two. Meanwhile, walking alongside Miku, Ki's face was slightly stiff. Who was spreading such rumors? It was clearly Miku herself who liked wearing black stockings. Even in hot weather, she'd grit her teeth and persist. Yet somehow Sobuhai was spreading rumors that he forced her to wear them. Although these black stockings did have something. Ki's eyes glanced over, his fingers accidentally brushing past. Miku's body instantly tensed up, and she glared at him coquettishly. Her slightly puffed cheeks resembled those of an adorable, sulking hamster. Ahem, I didn't notice. Humphrey. Miku turned her head away at his explanation. However, a hint of barely noticeable joy gleamed in her eyes. Taking advantage of his inattention, she quickly leaned close to his ear and whispered. If Gi-kun really can't resist wanting to touch, we can do it at home. Her moist breath spread from his ear throughout his body. Gi tightly gripped her small hand, quickening their pace. His determined demeanor made her face flush crimson, her heart racing wildly. Her mind reeled. How had she not realized the implications of her own words? Her thoughts were a jumbled mess, coherence slipping away. He gently embraced her slender waist. The soft body in his arms trembled slightly, offering only token resistance before yielding to his touch. Before they knew it, the pair arrived at the entrance of Miku's apartment building. Miku hastily broke free, turning to enter the apartment. Hey, what about me? Gi's quick hand caught her as she tried to escape. Humphrey. Gi, you meanie. Bullying me on the way home. You can't come in today. Miku, pulled into his embrace, poked his waist with her finger. Then when can I come in? He asked softly, leaning close to her ear. His nose filled with her faint fragrance. His warm breath playfully caressed her neck. Gi felt her body go limp in his arms, as if drained of strength, yielding to his touch. Miku mustered her strength to lift her head, her gaze meeting his. Suddenly, her lips felt a cool sensation. Her already weakened body became even softer, more pliant. A black-haired girl walking nearby rolled her eyes helplessly. Really? They should mind their surroundings, even when caught up in the moment. Yukino remarked sarcastically, then stood in place waiting for the two to finish. A moment later, Gi and Miku separated. The shy girl raised her small fists, playfully swatting at him until she finally calmed down. Humphrey. Bad Gi. If you want to enter the apartment, wait until that cat learns to dance. Miku wiped the corner of her mouth, turned her head away, and cursed in a voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. Gi followed her gaze and spotted a stray cat in front of the apartment. It sat in a cardboard box, as if waiting for someone to adopt it. But this was undoubtedly the wrong place for it. Pets were prohibited for tenants in this high-end apartment building. If it could dance right now, then I could go up? He examined the white kitten hiding in the overturned cardboard box. She hummed lightly. Gi revealed a slight smile, crouched in front of the box, took out some cat food from nearby, and said, Little kitty, could you please help me dance? Seeing this, Miku couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh softly. Where could someone find a dancing kitten? Last time she invited him, he didn't want to go up. This time, he just needed to say a few nice words to her, and it would have been fine. Humphrey. After he fails, she'll take him up to sea. She thought this way, but the smile on her face suddenly froze. She saw that the confused little kitten actually started dancing on the spot. The incredulous Miku quickly rubbed her eyes, but seeing was believing. Her dumbfounded expression made one want to pinch her little cheeks. Standing not far away, Yukino gripped her umbrella handle tightly, her face full of shock. This was too much. She actually witnessed with her own eyes a little cat. For the sake of cat food. Actually flirting shamelessly in broad daylight, under the open sky. Chapter 15, Yukino's social death. The alluring and seductive dance moves left everyone speechless. As Ki dispersed his ghost hand, the kitten finally settled down. Standing behind him, Miku couldn't help but ask, "Ki-kun, how did you do that? Maybe our feelings touched its heart?" He joked casually. Miku rolled her eyes helplessly, assuming it was just a magic trick. She then pulled him into the apartment, heading straight for her room. After the two left, Yukino approached the spot, umbrella in hand. Imitating Ki's actions, she took out some cat food from the paper box. After a moment's hesitation, she stuttered, "Kitty, could you please dance for me?" The wind whistled by. She and the cat stared at each other in bewilderment. PFFT. The laughter from behind made Yukino suddenly stand up. Realizing her mistake, Yotsuba quickly waved her hands. "I didn't mean to, I was just passing by and happened to see what you were doing." As Yotsuba gestured, Nino quickly approached from behind. "Yotsuba? Didn't I tell you to wait a moment? Why did you leave on your own?" Nino, out of breath, scolded the grinning Yotsuba. Naturally, Yukino couldn't allow this embarrassing moment to spread. She quickly bowed and said calmly, "It's alright, but please keep this a secret, Yotsuba-san. Don't tell anyone else." Yotsuba frantically waved her hands. "I definitely won't tell anyone about Yukino-san asking the cat to dance. My lips are sealed." As soon as these words were uttered, the air in front of the apartment seemed to freeze. Realizing her mistake, Yotsuba hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. "That's not what I meant. I mean, even though it looked sillier than me." "Ah, no." Nino silenced her babbling sister by covering her mouth with her hand, then promised, "Don't worry, only the three of us will know about this." "Ah, right. Suddenly, Akika and Itsuki emerged from the bushes in the green belt. Yukino's face turned grim, her heart skipping a beat. She could already imagine the rumors spreading throughout Sobya High School. Her entire being suddenly turned gray, as if a puff of life force had escaped her body. Nino's face was puzzled. "Itsuki, what are you doing here?" She was supposed to be taking care of the injured Yotsuba, but she had been delayed after running into a classmate and chatting for a while. At normal speed, Itsuki and Akika should have been home by now. Akika, with gleaming eyes, spoke shamelessly of the risque scene. "Haha, actually, we were crouching here watching Miku and Ki-kun. I didn't expect him to be so bold, he even dared to touch there. And it was so intense, I even saw saliva strands." Yukino seemed to think of something and secretly muttered, "Shameless." Itsuki covered Akika's mouth and said with a smile, "That's about it." Nino and Yotsuba's expressions also gradually became unnatural. "So now, shall we go up?" Itsuki's tone was hesitant, and Nino probably guessed the reason. "Let's go up," she said casually. They wouldn't do that kind of thing in the living room. Hearing this, Itsuki and the others agreed it made sense. Yukino, who had been feeling awkward, regained her cold demeanor. The five of them took the elevator and returned to their respective apartment rooms. Opening the door, the empty living room confirmed Nino's guess. Lying on the futon, Miku suddenly became alert when she heard the commotion. Itsuki and the others are back. Ki, inhaling her faint fragrance, didn't seem surprised. "By the way, Ki-kun, what was that about the cat earlier?" Miku, lying atop him, asked curiously. "Just a magic trick." He lightly raised his finger. The folding fan scattered in the corner of the room instantly fell into his palm. Miku's mouth fell open, stunned by the sight. Contrary to his expectation of further inquiry, she hesitated and asked, "Ki-kun, have you shown this to other girls before?" "I just learned it." "You're the first to see it," Ki explained, taken aback. "The first one? That means I got Ki-kun's first time." Although this sounded odd, it wasn't entirely wrong. Miku propped herself up with both arms, resting her chin on Ki's head. "Then all of Ki-kun's firsts in the future must be mine too." Hearing this, how could he resist? He flipped over, taking charge. Looking at Miku with her hands pinned down, his hands began to wander. "Wait. That kind of thing can wait until later." As the words fell, The entire room gradually fell silent. After a while, Dki left the apartment. The Nakano quintuplets sat in the living room eating, their expressions peculiar. They had heard noise earlier, but why had it suddenly stopped? Miku, seemingly aware of their thoughts, said irritably, "Don't let your imaginations run wild. That kind of thing is obviously saved for after marriage." The other four sisters suddenly understood, and their opinion of Dki improved. At such a young and passionate age, he could exercise self-control. Indeed, he was reliable, far superior to his peers. Walking down the street, Dki felt a twinge of regret. Miku's personality was too innocent. No matter what he said, she wouldn't go further, so he had to take things slow. He went to the supermarket to buy some ingredients, then headed home. Standing on the balcony, he let the cold rain droplets fall on his cheeks. The cool sensation invigorated him. According to news from the Private Devil Hunter Forum, the giant bat devil had reappeared. Not only had it killed many private devil hunters, but it had also grown stronger. A devil's power stems from human fear. The more people fear them, the stronger they become. Conversely, the more people admire a certain devil, the weaker it becomes. The recorded locations of the bat devil were getting closer to Sobuhai. Observing its specific movement trajectory, its target seemed to be the Tokyo area. "I hope it's not a worthless devil with no collection value," Dki muttered. Meanwhile, the Matsushita group in Chiba City once again clashed with the local wealthy clans. Eerie howls echoed through the night, while unyielding shadows wandered in the darkness, sending chills down one's spine. Chapter 16, causing a stir in the classroom. Another day of continuous rain unfolded, with fine droplets gathering on the glass surfaces. The classroom atmosphere was noticeably heavy, filled with strange topics of discussion. "Dki-kun, did you hear any odd noises last night?" Fumino turned around and whispered to Dki. Ginko, seated to the right, slowed her movements and perked up her ears to listen. She too had heard peculiar sounds while studying shogi. Unnerved, she'd gone to bed unusually early. Now, hearing it mentioned, her curiosity was piqued. "It sounded like zombies," Dki replied, causing Fumino to shudder and rub her arms. Ginko's body tensed as she listened more intently. "Are you serious? Like in apocalypse scenarios? Is the world really ending?" "No way, I haven't even gotten into a science university yet." Fumino's eyes welled up with tears, her whole body trembling in fear. It was true. Dki had not only seen the zombies but had also dissected a few on the spot. These zombies were scattered and disorganized, collapsing at the slightest attack. He suspected it might be the work of a zombie devil. A large-scale zombie virus outbreak would be an entirely different situation. "The world isn't ending," Dki said calmly. "You should worry more about your science grades. I've seen you dozing off more than once," and Kirisu-sensei's eyes were about to pop out. His words struck Fumino like lightning. Sure enough, as she turned around, she saw Mifa at the podium, staring at her with a grave expression, like a bottomless abyss. Fumino quickly lowered her head and began reviewing her science subjects. Little did she know that her teacher's attention was focused elsewhere. "I thought I had misheard. Could there really be man-eating monsters appearing at night?" Mifa appeared calm, but internally, she was panicking. Ginko glanced at Dki, puzzled by his composure. However, as he noticed her gaze, she immediately averted her eyes. As lunchtime arrived, the classroom came alive with activity. The pitter-patter of rain against the window, combined with the lively chatter of classmates and the anticipation of a favorite bento, created one of life's simple pleasures. Ginko savored this moment as she retrieved her bento box from her desk. After generously dousing her meal with sauce, she felt content. Her classmates, however, were taken aback by the sheer amount of sauce on her dish. "Ginko-san must really love that sauce." "Dki-kun, you brought a bento today too?" Fumino asked, glancing at him as she unpacked her store-bought lunch. Ginko's expression stiffened, and she turned her head robotically. "I bought some ingredients yesterday and made 3 bento boxes on impulse. I've already given away the other 2. Dki explained. As he opened his bento, a subtle yet enticing aroma wafted through the air. "Wow! That nori scent. It's making me hungry just smelling it." All eyes in the class suddenly turned to Dki. "It's only nori sushi. What's the fuss about?" The impact of his World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills was truly remarkable. Despite intentionally choosing simple sushi and onigiri to minimize the aroma, his advanced techniques still shone through. Unlike 2-star chefs who specialized in specific areas, Dki's culinary talents spanned across all domains. Like molecular gastronomy, some culinary techniques were unavailable due to equipment limitations. However, the combination of remaining culinary skills was still impressive. Even in the simple and elegant aroma, there was an irresistible charm that ordinary people couldn't resist. "Dki-kun, did you make this yourself?" Fumina leaned close to the bento box, her eyes wide with curiosity. Feel free to try if you'd like. Hearing his offer, she hesitated. Wouldn't casually eating someone else's food seem too intimate? Rumor had it that he was dating Miku. If word got out, wouldn't it affect their relationship? Maybe I shouldn't. Fumino began to refuse. However, her mouth was already watering uncontrollably. Noticing drool dripping onto the bento, she panicked. He sighed helplessly. This was why he'd offered chopsticks. He used them to separate the parts touched by saliva and gave them to her. Seeing his awkward but polite smile, Fumino's cheeks burned hot. She was so embarrassed she wanted to dig a hole and disappear. Ginkgo forcibly averted her gaze, trying to convince herself that nori sushi was too bland. It probably didn't taste good anyway. She preferred adding sauce to her meals, almost drinking it by the bottle. Compared to the strong flavor of sauce, nori was indeed mild. But sitting so close to Gi, she struggled to focus on her meal. Her thoughts were in turmoil. That dish can't taste good. It definitely doesn't. But is all this sauce healthy? It feels too greasy. Maybe I should prepare lighter dishes. Her movements slowed as the sauce suddenly lost its appeal. In the end, she could only swallow it mechanically, tasting like cardboard, while stealing glances at Gi. He chewed his sushi, raising his eyes to find the entire class staring at him. With no other choice, he opened the window to circulate the air. The result was astounding. The gentle breeze and fine rain instantly swept the fragrance throughout the entire classroom. I'm inhaling. One of the poorer students suddenly took a deep breath. He then buried his head and started eating ravenously, as if savoring that gourmet dish. The other students couldn't help but gasp. Impressive. Truly impressive. Of course, they couldn't bring themselves to do such a thing. Gi-kun, may I have a taste? A female student asked boldly. Gi nodded. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, people started flocking over. Even Rizu, Ogata, from afar struggled to squeeze through. Although it was just a small bite, the crisp fragrance instantly invigorated everyone. Did you add powder? Rizu asked seriously after taking a bite of the onigiri. Yes, I ground some and added it on a whim. Listening to this exchange, Ginkgo's heart raced. She longed to know what it tasted like too. Cough, cough, cough. The agitated little princess of Shogi suddenly frowned. Gi noticed and, raising his eyes, handed an onigiri to her. Ginkgo was stunned and stammered, Thank you. As she took a bite, the refreshing fragrance filled her lungs. Her restlessness seemed to gradually subside. Gi saw this and averted his gaze. He knew she had a heart condition. If an onigiri caused a heart attack, that would be a serious problem. I still have some left, if you don't mind, I'll share it with you. Ginkgo offered, noticing his nearly empty bento box. The girls who had just tasted the onigiri and sushi also started offering their food. Meanwhile, Itsuki and Akiko had finished dividing the spoils in the activity room. The two were meticulously portioning out a bento box. Chapter 17, Nino's worldview collapses. The activity classroom at Sobu High was empty, filled with the aroma of cooking. Itsuki bit into rice balls and sushi, her face beaming with happiness. In contrast, Akiko's joy seemed somewhat diminished. This couldn't be helped. Who would have thought her sister would discover her sneaking food? To keep it secret from Miku, she had to split the bento in half. Fortunately, she had hidden another bento in advance for a late-night snack. Even Itsuki didn't know about the other bento. Originally, Akiko had wanted to give that bento to Miku. After all, it was a meal specially prepared for her by Gi. But who could have guessed Itsuki would find out? Even enjoying a meal freely had become a luxury. Hopefully, they could keep it a secret from Miku for a while longer. How is it that even the simplest rice balls and sushi can taste this good? Itsuki was utterly perplexed. Though they were the simplest of dishes, the taste was completely different. Indeed, I almost thought Ki-kun had trained at Tatsuki. Since their family had become wealthy, they had tasted many high-class dishes. Nino even ordered a lavish feast every day that could be called sumptuous. But those dishes from high-end restaurants couldn't compare at all. Perhaps only at Tatsuki Academy, which monopolized culinary prestige, could they possibly find top chefs who surpassed Gi's culinary skills. Itsuki remained silent, lost in thought. She had wanted to remind Akiko again that this should be the last time. But recently, these words had been appearing too frequently. Even if she said it, her sister probably wouldn't listen. She could only hope that her sister knew her limits and wouldn't take things too far. After hastily finishing the rice balls and sushi, the two sisters returned to their respective classrooms. As evening fell and school let out, Gi walked Miku home. Itsuki and Akiko had already returned to the apartment with Yotsuba, taking the car. Nino, however, opted to get her nails done with some female classmates before heading back. After escorting Miku to the apartment and bidding farewell with their customary kiss, Dki made his way home. By the time he finished dinner, Miku's messages had flooded his screen. With a sigh, he carved out some time to chat with her. The rain fell steadily, its damp, cold air making people instinctively wrap their clothes tighter. "Nino, we're heading back first then." Waving goodbye, the others departed for home. Nino deftly opened her phone, initially intending to have the driver pick her up. Realizing the apartment wasn't far, she decided to walk instead. Gloomy clouds obscured the sky as visibility gradually dimmed. The light drizzle slowly intensified into a heavy downpour. "I remember there's a shortcut around here." Nino entered an unfamiliar alley, hoping to save some distance. The pitch-black passage seemed different from usual. Strange, faint noises echoed from its depths. She struggled to place the familiar yet unsettling sound. Suddenly, Nino halted, holding her breath. In the corner, amid a pile of garbage, lurked an eerie figure. Its posture suggested it was gnawing on something. A chill ran through her body as she began to slowly back away. At that moment, lightning flashed across the gloomy sky. The dazzling white light illuminated the alley, revealing the monster's appearance. A zombie. Rotting flesh hung from its skeletal frame. Dark red blood vessels clung to flesh that seemed ready to slough off. Its gray-blue pupil showed no trace of life, its teeth grotesquely exposed. Nino's pupils contracted as she turned to sprint away. The zombie glanced at its half-eaten, indistinct meal, then at the fleeing figure, but ultimately didn't give chase. "All right, come back after you finish eating," the zombie devil, controlling the zombie through a contract, said warily. In the past, someone like Nino wouldn't have escaped at all. But times had changed. Life after dark had become increasingly perilous. Ordinary people, devil hunters, and devils alike, the night's hidden malice could claim any of them at any moment. As the woman fled, the grotesque zombie's gaze followed her toward a massive curtain covering the ground in the distance. The Jujutsu Sorcerer's Curtain, a technique that obscured ordinary people's vision, allowing sorcerers to exorcise curses undisturbed. A deployed curtain meant Jujutsu sorcerers were active in the area. The zombie devil had no desire to face these human monsters, fearing it might be exorcised along with the curses. With this in mind, it directed its puppet to leave the area. Meanwhile, the oblivious Nino sprinted on, only realizing something was amiss when she rushed into the curtain. The intel was wrong. "This is clearly a special-grade cursed spirit." Mizuna named her technique-crafted gun at the cursed spirit. Kasumi Miwa, her blue hair flowing, gripped her sword's hilt. "I swear it was only grade 2 when I observed it earlier. How did it suddenly jump to grade 1? Unless..." A chilling possibility dawned on Kasumi and Mai. Could this grade 2 cursed spirit have devoured a special-grade cursed object? "What's our next move?" "Wait, someone's entered the curtain." Mai's words trailed off as she spotted the intruder. Before they could react, the massive cursed spirit was upon them. Bang! The terrifying force shattered the glass. Kasumi dodged the attack, thanks to her extraordinary perception. She and Mai then coordinated, using the buildings as cover. "It's too strong." Kasumi clutched her left arm, which was nearly immobilized. A special-grade cursed spirit could easily decapitate them with a casual attack. Fortunately, this one had just been born, and its intelligence wasn't fully developed. It toyed with the two of them like a cat playing with mice. Nino, who had stumbled into this scene, stood dumbfounded, her worldview completely shattered. Kasumi seized an opportunity to pull her to safety. Nino's delayed return worried her 4 sisters. They couldn't even reach her by phone, it seemed to be turned off. "Miku-chan, Red Princess, Dki-kun, I have to go." Something seems to have happened to Nino. Miku, who had been chatting enthusiastically, suddenly sent this message. Dki walked to the balcony and looked in 3 directions. At the edge of his vision, he spotted a faint black curtain. Chapter 18, The Shocked Mai and Kasumi. Kyoto Prefectural Jujutsu High School, a place where sorcerers wield supernatural powers, hidden from the world. Cursed spirits, born from human negative emotions, roam the earth. And the Zenin family stands as one of the 3 great Jujutsu families. A flood of complex, unbelievable knowledge poured in all at once, shattering Nino's 17-year-old worldview in an instant. She never imagined a seemingly peaceful world could harbor such terrors. Ordinary people everywhere were being kept in the dark, shielded by a facade of tranquility. Mai and Kasumi huddled in the shadows, silent. If not for the looming threat of death by a special-grade cursed spirit, Mai's prickly personality would have never bothered explaining these basics. "Is there really no chance for us to survive?" Nino asked, her voice quavering as she struggled to accept the dire situation. The other 2 women's faces darkened immediately. "It's hopeless, we have no room for resistance," Kasumi explained, her voice tight. "Mai and I are both grade 3 sorcerers. Subduing a grade 2 cursed spirit is our limit." There's a vast gulf between Grade 2 and Grade 1 cursed spirits, with semi-Grade 1 in between. This special grade cursed spirit is just toying with us now. If it gets serious, only a Grade 1 sorcerer might stand a chance. As she spoke, terrifying rumbles erupted outside the high-rise building. The Jujutsu world was already short on talent, and they simply couldn't spare the manpower. Even though they had called for help, reinforcements wouldn't arrive anytime soon. Seeing the grim expressions of the two women, Nino's fear deepened. Who could have imagined that a routine trip to get her nails done would lead to such a deadly predicament? Now the three of them huddled together, awaiting death's arrival. Kasumi had forcibly turned off Nino's phone to prevent it from making any noise. No one knew when this special grade cursed spirit would tire of its cruel game. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm them, the commotion outside suddenly ceased. Why did it suddenly go quiet? Nino whispered, her voice trembling and barely audible. Did that cursed spirit leave? Mai and Kasumi exchanged uncertain glances. Kasumi summoned her courage and peered through the drafty window. An eerie silence enveloped the world outside, with only dust swirling in the air. Mai and Nino crowded behind her, but the cursed spirit was nowhere to be seen. Has it left? Kasumi wondered aloud, puzzled. Mai's expression suddenly shifted. No, it's ambushing someone else. Kasumi froze. Who else could be within the curtain? Unless a new person had entered. Both Kasumi and Mai paled. They'd thought Nino's presence was rare enough, but now another newcomer had appeared. Nino asked, bewildered, is it unusual to wander in accidentally? With no visible guards outside, she assumed it might be common for people to stumble in. Of course it's unusual. Kasumi and Mai exclaimed in unison. Mai elaborated, a sorcerer's curtain is a fundamental technique, incorporating elements from onmyoji and magician practices. Ordinary people can't see its true form at all, they instinctively avoid it, let alone enter it directly. Kasumi and Mai studied Nino. Her ability to enter meant she possessed the potential to become a sorcerer. Meanwhile, Nino mulled over this new information, growing increasingly horrified. Onmyoji. Magicians. They weren't fictional, they existed in reality. As they spoke, a figure entered the special grade cursed spirit's field of vision. Nino's eyes widened as she recognized the familiar silhouette. Gi. Kasumi and Mai turned to her. You know him? That's my sister's boyfriend. Nino's heart raced, as his appearance here might be because of her. As Miku's older sister, Nino had naturally investigated Gi. His lifestyle was simple and modest. After dropping Miku off at the apartment, he would go straight home and stay in. Before dating her sister, he was also a member of the Go Home Club. The most likely reason for his appearance here was to look for her. If something happened to him because of her, Nino would feel guilty even if she survived. Suddenly, the figure of the special grade cursed spirit appeared behind Gi. Nino immediately ran to the edge of the window, wanting to warn him. Kasumi and Mai were terrified. They quickly covered her mouth, preventing her from making any noise. Calm down, reinforcements might arrive soon. Mai, you watch her. I'll go bring that guy back. Kasumi said, gripping her sword hilt. But it's fine, I still have a trump card I haven't used. Mai furrowed her brow, she knew her partner's ace, a simplified sword-drawing domain. However, compared to a true special grade domain, it could only hold out temporarily. Before Mai could respond, Kasumi was about to jump out of the building. At that moment, a sound of flesh being torn apart echoed through the sky. It stopped Kasumi mid-leap and froze Nino and the others in their tracks. The special grade cursed spirit that had been standing behind Gi was suddenly sent flying back. Its left arm had been slashed by an unknown attack. Only a thin strip of skin tissue prevented the entire limb from being completely severed. As a gentle breeze passed by, the arm swayed slightly and then fell off. So this is a special grade cursed spirit. Gi observed the creature, which was getting back up, with great interest. He could clearly sense the cursed energy from it, which had the same origin as his own. His cursed energy came from drawing Sukuna's finger from the collection space. This cursed spirit before him must have devoured one of Sukuna's fingers. Is that your sister's boyfriend? Are you sure you're not mistaken? He just sliced off a special grade cursed spirit's arm in one move. Mai couldn't maintain her cold expression anymore. She had originally thought Nino was just an ordinary, ignorant citizen. But behind her sister stood such a powerful backer. Even if he wasn't a special grade sorcerer, he was at least a top-tier grade 1 sorcerer. Nino's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. Could she have mistaken the person? She'd seen Gi's back countless times. There was no doubt. The realization hit her, Miku's boyfriend was, in fact, a formidable Jujutsu sorcerer. Chapter 19, Special Grade Domain Jujutsu Sorcerer. The big three of the Jujutsu world. Nino had always thought Jujutsu sorcerers were far removed from her reality. Only now did she realize she had simply never noticed them before. A thought struck her. Did Miko know about her boyfriend's situation? As these thoughts swirled in her mind, the special grade cursed spirit regenerated its left arm. It flexed the limb, glaring coldly at Gi. Kasumi and Mai's hearts leapt into their throats once again. Roar. Terrifying sound waves exploded into a white barrier. Mai and the others covered their ears, their heads spinning from the impact. Seizing this opportunity, the special grade cursed spirit pounced with lightning speed. In one breath, it reached Gi's position. The ferocious speed left Mai and the others tense to the extreme. But innate technique, dismantle, splat. Blood sprayed as the attacking special grade cursed spirit was sliced in half by a cutting technique. Unable to react in time, its bisected body continued its charge due to inertia, flying off in opposite directions. This gruesome scene sent chills down the spines of Kasumi and the others. What a bizarre technique. Is it his innate ability? The special grade cursed spirit's defense crumbled in an instant. He must be at least a top-tier grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer, right? The defining characteristic between grade 1 and special grade Jujutsu sorcerers is the domain expansion. Is he really that strong? Nino knew it was impressive, but she couldn't gauge the exact level of power. Judging by Kasumi and Mai's tones, Gi seemed to be incredibly powerful. He's unbelievably strong. If he knows domain expansion, he's definitely special grade level. And currently, there are only 4 publicly recognized special grade Jujutsu sorcerers in the world. Mai stared at the figure, her voice filled with awe. Hearing this, Nino was left speechless. He was actually that powerful. Gi picked up Sukina's finger that had fallen to the ground. Detected host collecting a repeated special grade cursed object, Sukina's finger, reward, reverse cursed technique. The meager reward made him frown slightly. Reverse cursed technique is a type of cursed energy manipulation that applies cursed energy multiplicatively, turning negative energy into positive. It's typically the most effective method for Jujutsu sorcerers to heal their own injuries. Similar to his mastery of World Gourmet Organization 2-star culinary skills, Gi's comprehension of this technique was unparalleled. In applying reverse cursed technique, he had already surpassed all others. This realization lifted his spirits somewhat. Suddenly, a dark shadow plummeted from the sky, streaking past him. Innate technique, dismantle, splat. 2 swift slashes fell. The shadowy figure swiftly abandoned the special grade cursed spirit's corpse and soared back into the air. As expected of a monster among humans, your reactions are too keen. The Bat Devil, now airborne, let out an eerie, shrill laugh. Its plan to snatch the cursed spirit's body had backfired. The Bat Devil glanced at its bloodied leg bones, rage building in its heart. This was its first major setback in Chiba. Times had changed. It had devoured numerous people in Chiba, its strength growing rapidly. Yet before this human, it found itself utterly outmatched. Still, humans would always be humans. They could never compare to it, the master of the skies. Kid, I'll remember this. In the future, the people around you, I'll. Before it could finish, Gi had already formed hand seals. The smile on his face sent chills down everyone's spine. Domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. A grotesque and bizarre demon-slaying shrine rapidly rose from the ground. The powerful domain, reinforced by cursed energy, engulfed the entire area. Kasumi and Mai's pupils dilated. Special grade domain. Someone their age had actually mastered domain expansion. Moreover, the technique he used wasn't from any of the big 3 families. Nino couldn't comprehend the shock in the 2 girls' hearts. However, she stared blankly at Gi, lost in thought. She used to think that delinquents' actions were cool, but compared to him right now, delinquents seemed simply pathetic. Seeing the domain expansion, the Bat Devil's heart turned cold. Suddenly, the air filled with deadly intent. Countless invisible slashes blanketed the sky, converging on it with precision. The ethereal blades promised destruction, leaving no escape. Their relentless advance threatened to reduce the creature to nothing. Slash. Slice. Shred. The phantom blades tore through its flesh. Its proud wings, once symbols of aerial supremacy, were instantly shredded. Blood and torn tissue replaced leathery membranes and powerful muscles. Ghost hand, spectral hands materialized, seizing the mutilated Bat Devil. With otherworldly strength, they yanked the creature earthward. The once master of the skies plummeted helplessly, its fall as inevitable as it was terrifying. Boom. The impact stirred up gusts of wind. Detected host collecting Bat Devil, reward, Bat Devil pledge, skywalking. The skywalking technique from the collection space quickly surfaced in his memory. It was a technique that could only be used with cursed energy or other forms of power as a base. It allowed the user to break free from the ground's constraints and walk in the sky as if on solid ground. Gi composed himself and walked towards where Nino and the others were hiding. At this moment, Kasumi and Mai emerged, supporting Nino. The trio stood speechless before him, still in awe of the powerful domain he had just unleashed. Shall we head back? Miku and the others are quite worried, they thought you'd gone missing. Gi said softly, raising an eyebrow. Wha? Nino couldn't suppress her fear any longer. She stumbled into his arms, her body trembling with a mixture of relief and lingering fear.